The ideal people to buy the White Sox are reportedly interested in buying a division rival. Let's discuss how Sox fans just can't have nice things on Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter, a lifelong Sox fan and the site expert of SouthsideShowdown.com, part of the Fansided Network. And also, I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure to hit the like button on today's episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox if you've not done so already. And also follow or subscribe to the show at wherever you get your podcasts. Well, there was a brief moment in October where team owner Jerry Reinsdorf was willing to sell the team. And while that was not the case, a Chicago billionaire was speculated to be interested. Instead, that guy might be buying the Twins. So let's discuss that in the first segment. Then let's discuss the team's updated top 30 prospects on a minor league Monday. And finally, I'll discuss what a player having a Paul Konerko season means. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So it's sad and it's weird that the only way things will truly get fundamentally better is Jerry Reinsdorf no longer being with us, and therefore the team is sold, because that is what he's instructed his heirs to do upon his death. And GM Chris Getz, hey, he can make all the front office changes he wants and bring in smart people, because it sounds like, it looks like that's what he's actually doing. But Jerry will always be the dark cloud hanging over this franchise. He's the figurative gargoyle just sitting there, ready to on us. But let's say Getz and the reform front office acquire the players to get the team out of this rotting state it's been right now and back into being competitive. You still have the owner who has shown he will not spend enough money to acquire premium talent to put the team either over the top or to actually cover areas that the farm system just can't produce. And it's going to happen. The top 30 prospects that I'm going to go over in the next segment, not all of them are going to even make it to the big leagues. And if they do, some of them are just going to be replacement level players, bench players, busts, that type of stuff. That it's just what happens. So that's why you need to use free agency, because free agency puts you over the top. Free agency also can cover holes that your system can't produce. Example, second base and right field. The White Sox have been going so cheap and not using free agency properly to cover that hole that they still haven't replaced Jermaine Dye and Ray Durham. And that little report that floated in October that he could sell, it was just a myth. Likely ploy to scare us into thinking, hey, Dave Stewart, he's going to buy the team with his investment group and move it to Nashville. But he won't do it if taxpayers, this is probably what Jerry was thinking when he was running the play. He won't do it, taxpayers, if you build me my new stadium on the 78. I'll kick in $200 million of the estimated $1.9 billion cost it would take. Thanks, Jerry, for basically, kicking in pennies on the dollar to build the stadium that you should fund completely, and you should fund it. That's a prime investment. I know there might be issues with the land that they were saying and all that, but that's still a great investment to make. You're a land developer. Develop the land. You could build condos. You could build restaurants and hotels and an entertainment, kind of like what you're doing around the United Center. Do the same thing on the 78 on your dime. And hey, if you need the taxpayers to pay for the piping or a road, that's a different story, because that's public use. But even then, this is still a perfect time to sell Jerry Reinsdorf. So whoever minion you have looking at your podcasts and all that stuff, because I know there's probably some guy that he's got out there to listen to everything that's being said about him. This is a great time to sell. Team is still worth $2 billion. Cash out, because also this is not the game that you've come to love. It's a different game. So sell. And he had the ideal potential buyers, and now they're reportedly pivoting to a division rival with a longtime family ownership group that realized, hey, times are changing. Let's get out. Let's cash out. When I read that Justin and Matt Ishbia, I believe it's Ishbia. Justin and Matt Ishbia are thinking about buying the Minnesota Twins. I thought of yet another example of us not being able to have nice things. Even worse, a division rival might get said nice things. Now, the Ishbia brothers own the Phoenix Suns, or Ishbia. Yeah, it's Ishbia. I listened to this morning. I know I butcher names, and I'm trying my best, okay? But they own the Phoenix Suns. And obviously, you could say, well, the Suns' record isn't the greatest right now. It's the NBA. Everybody's getting off to a slow start, and it's the regular season. What matters is what you do in the playoffs. And this ownership group came in and went bold. They went out and they got Kevin Durant. And they also solved the Suns' RSN issues. And they solved it perfectly. And it would be action welcomed on the South Side. And they come with deep, deep pockets. According to Forbes, Matt is estimated to be worth $9.3 billion based on being the majority owner of the United Wholesale Mortgage after his father founded the company. And I've even seen, this is, I went to the Forbes.com most recent, they said 9.3. I saw an estimate once that had him at 10.4. Justin's estimated worth is $4.9 billion based on the private equity firm he runs out of Chicago, along with being the United Wholesale Mortgage minority shareholder. I believe Bloomberg had their net worth combined at $15 billion. Still deep-pocketed owners in what is needed in today's baseball economics. And you can hate the Juan Soto contract at $760 million, and you can hate that fans are getting squeezed out. We can have that conversation later. And definitely fans are getting squeezed by owners because they just keep marking up the price wherever they can mark it up, whether it's at the stadium, whether it's now to watch a game on television. Yeah, we're getting squeezed. But I'm not against players getting theirs either. It's the owners that are just trying to squeeze every last ounce of money from an asset where some deep-pocketed owners, they don't care, like the Dodgers. The Dodgers know they're making money. You know what they want to do? They want to win. Steve Cohen, he knows he's going to make money. Owning a sports team is a license to print money because you have built-in loyalties. You have the built-in entertainment factor of, hey, it's something to do if you have a good team, even if sometimes you don't have a bad, even if you have a bad team. You have volume. You have people that want to, buy merchandising, buy hats, even though I'm wearing my Bears hat. People will love and be loyal to this product. It's a license to basically print money. The issue is you still get some of these old timer owners like Reinsdorf who want to actually look at it and be like, I got to print every single last dollar out of this asset. I got to get every single piece of money I can, and I'm going to squeeze the fans, and I'm going to try to squeeze my my employee base. I'm going to just do everything I can. And the Ishbias, just in a man, I'm just going to say that they seem to be trending toward winning. They want to win. They want to be like Cohen and the Dodgers owners. The Suns, Matt's the Suns governor. He even decided to heck with RSNs. He's going to put his games on local TV. This is what he said from ESPN, quote, "We're not focusing on money. We're focusing on winning, success, and taking care of the fans, taking care of the community. What happens is you always end up making money. It always works out." He said Ishbia is a deep-pocketed owner. And after studying the matter for months, he said, and consulting with the NBA, he decided to forego the larger guaranteed money and enter into a partnership with local over-the-air stations. He said he sees it as a long-term investment. Suns and Mercury's games could be available to more than 2.8 million households throughout Arizona. His bet is that more eyeballs over time will lead to more revenue. Thank you. And this guy, his brother Justin, was speculated to want to buy the White Sox, but they're not for sale. I mean, imagine having an owner that has that much foresight, that much guts, and having that much honesty to realize you can make money hand over fist just by owning the team and taking care of your fan base and taking care of the community. You build that loyalty. You build up that loyalty and that love where people are just going to be like, I will pay to go to a game. I'll pay to buy your t-shirt. Imagine that. But it looks like Minnesota's going to benefit because this became a thing when Bloomberg and the Athletic confirmed that Justin and his brother Matt are considering buying the Twins after the Pullen family succumbed to fan pressure and put the team up for sale. In this instance, though, Justin would be the main owner and Matt would be the minority owner. And this is what Dan Hayes, Sam Amick, and Dennis Lynn wrote about the impact of any new owner coming to Minnesota. Even though a sale might not be finalized until April, the promise of a new ownership group could provide vital energy to an organization that needs to reconnect with its fan base. Despite coming off an American League Central title in 2023 and their first playoff victory since 2002, the Twins failed to draw 2 million fans in 2024. Minnesota ranked 23rd out of 30 MLB teams in home attendance last season. Fan discord likely played a significant role in keeping diehards away from Target Field in 2024 after ownership slashed payroll by $30 million for the season, and the team was blacked out in its own TV market for 3 months. The result of a contract dispute between Xfinity and the club's broadcast partner, Diamond Sports / Bally's. Sound familiar, huh? Sounds very familiar to me. And again, why did the Sox get tied with the Ishbias? Well, it was CHGO's Adam Hogue. Obviously, he covers the Bears, but he's a Sox fan. He tweeted this out. I've heard for a while now, and this is at Adam Hogue, I've heard for a while now that the Ishbia brothers, he misspelled it, would be interested in buying the White Sox should Jerry Reinsdorf ever sell. Justin's private equity firm is based in Chicago, but you can't buy something that isn't for sale. They're targeting the Twins. Instead of floating out the Sox being for sale to an out-of-town potential owner to get a shiny new stadium, maybe Jerry should have just floated out the idea to get the best bid possible and just sell the team like everyone hopes for. Just sell the team. And that's why sell the team you shouldn't boo anybody next year. Literally boo. Instead, you should chant sell the team. Sell the team should be Sox fans' war cry for being displeased. So yes, if a player makes a bad play that you think deserves a boo, chant sell the team instead. But him holding on to the team, just honestly, it makes no sense. You know, it's been speculated that the franchise is completely out of energy. And sure, I think Chris Getz is actually trying to breathe life into it. But with all these front office changes that he's made, it's still going to take a couple of years for this to produce talented players, not acquired via trade. You know, right now, technically, if you look at it from a glass half empty standpoint, this is just, you know, all these changes that Getz is making is lipstick on a pig. And I wrote about it last week. Juan Soto signing. Another example. Jerry, just get out of the business. You're never going to spend even a fraction of that premium, money on premium talent. And the price is only going up. He's not going to do it. The RSN grift is over. And taxpayers funding your stadium. It's over too. Why? You know, I think legitimately in his heart of hearts, he has, I'm just speculating here. I think he has seen how bad it is. And I think he wants to try to help get things turned around. But guess what? You know how you can help? Get out of the way. Sell the team. You know, he's instructed his heirs to sell upon his death. Why not just cash out now? Especially since Justin is in Chicago. Why not sell to a guy who's based here? Deep-pocketed owner who's made billions off of investing correctly. You know, I did a little background on this guy. This guy's invested he's made billions off of investing in small business, for example. And you don't think he would see the value in funding the 78, or at least the majority of it? Or you don't think he could say, you know what? Why don't we develop the parking lots around Guaranteed Rate Field because it's still perfectly usable, and let's build Comiskeyville. You know, instead, Jerry holds on to his toy because he still loves baseball. And fine, love the game. Put it in your sale contract that you still get a owner's box then. But your 1958 views have long been passed, and your unwillingness to spend like a big market franchise should makes you no longer qualified. Again, how you have been so resistant to data and analytics doesn't make you qualified. The only thing that makes you Jerry qualified to own the team is because he still has the title of owner. Well, let's shift gears to the brighter days ahead and go over the team's updated top 30 MLB pipeline prospect list, and that'll be next on Locked On White Sox. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and I always maintain FanDuel spreads, over-unders, and money lines, they're fun to play. But if you want to win big or at least double your money, FanDuel's parlays, props, and futures is the way to go. And tonight, right now, at least the last time I checked it, FanDuel had it at plus 8,000. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison each having 100-plus receiving yards and a touchdown or more in tonight's Minnesota and Chicago game. $10 on that, and if it hits, it could pay out $800, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The World Series, Super Bowl, the Olympics, the world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing, teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less, while SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. And if you're in good health, they work with carriers that could get you same-day coverage for up to $5 million. No medical exam required. Get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/lockedon. Again, go to SelectQuote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/lockedon. SelectQuote, they shop and you save. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. Again, make sure to hit the like button on today's episode and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox if you've not done so already. And if you can't catch the show on YouTube, Locked On White Sox is available on all major podcast platforms, so make sure to follow or subscribe on places such as Apple or Spotify. Either way, get your 30-minute fix of Chicago White Sox baseball venting with me. So the White Sox now have 6 prospects in MLB Pipeline's top 100. Obviously, there's other services out there, Baseball America, Just Baseball, Bleacher Report, ESPN. But the reason why I usually obviously go to MLB Pipeline is, first, it's free. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Baseball America does some great work, but when I was looking at their subscription costs, it's still I'm impressed that they're still around in terms of how they operate for subscriptions. Because it felt like I was subscribing to Sports Illustrated back in the 90s in terms of the costs and yearly costs. And the other reason why I like MLB Pipeline is, I'll tell you, it's Cliff Notes. And you can say, well, you're skipping, man. Well, a lot of these prospects don't make it to the majors. Or at least they don't make it to the show with the team that they're on. They usually get traded. Or they don't make it at all. And as you guys have seen, I go get the people that know and watch these guys a lot, and I bring them to you, like Friday's episode. So I definitely try to keep myself informed, but MLB Pipeline is a great way to keep yourself informed in terms of the Cliff Notes. And if you want more information, you can do this thing called Google. That's what I do. That's how I read up on them. And that's just my suggestion to you. Anyways, pitcher Noah Schultz, he's number 16 in the MLB Pipeline over top 100 overall prospects. He's still at number 16, obviously. Recently acquired catcher Kyle Teal. He's 25. This year's first-round pick, pitcher Hagen Smith, he is number 30. Shortstop Colson Montgomery is 37. Recently acquired outfielder Braden Montgomery is 54, and catcher Edgar Quero is 59. You might just say, well, that really didn't change much. You're right. I mean, they haven't totally updated their top 100, but it did impact how the Sox top 30 is. And I think they did make some shuffling and moving some pieces around on that. So also we could debate if you and I should not get fooled again, like the last rebuild, but I'm hoping to get former host Nick Murkowski. I'm trying to get him on the show. I think we're actually going to talk about it in 2 weeks. Hey guys, it's the holiday schedule, first of all. And yes, I need to fill an off-season calendar's worth of content. So we're going to get to that in another day. That's a tease. But I do want to go over how some of the updates in MLB Pipeline's White Sox top 30 have gone. And can you and I start to see the outlines of a competitive team, maybe? So the main thing that changes is when you add the three, when you add Teal and when you add Braden Montgomery, it did knock Kai Busch out of the top 10, as he's now number 11. You also got pitchers now, Jairo Iriarte, Grant Taylor, and Mason Adams. They're at 7, 8, and 10, with outfielder George Wolcott at number 9. So honestly, if you look at their top 10, that's impressive. That's foundational. And you got two potential pocket aces in Schultz and Smith if they realize their potential. And you got a couple of potential stud bats in Teal, Montgomery, Caro, and Wolcott. I mean, obviously there's risks. There's no such thing as a perfect prospect. There's always risks involved in any player. Every player's got a weakness. But imagine by 2027, if these four guys can become what their ceilings say, that's four outstanding hitters in your lineup. And really, you need, for sure, four premium guys in your lineup to compete, I think, for titles, for the World Series. At a minimum, you need three. I mean, look at the Guardians. Heck, you could technically say they're doing it with two, with Ramirez and Kwan. But you need guys that obviously can rake. And this offense doesn't have it right now, but they've got four guys with the potential. But you do see, though, there is still some dearth, obviously, in the top 10. A lot of it's in the pitching still. But you got reinforcements for your rotation, or obviously arms to build a cheap, effective bullpen around. Because as everydayers have heard me before, one of the things that killed last year, the last rebuild, was a lot of investment, a lot of limited financial resources being invested in veteran bullpen arms. And you can't do that with an owner who obviously, like we said in the previous segment, will not spend on premium talent and will not spend enough on players to fix gaps that a rebuild can't cover, like second base and right field. That's how you get Nomar Mazara, and that's how you get, Josh Harrison playing second base and Elvis Honduras playing second base. So, you've got the arms there. Chase Mydroth, who came over in the Crochet trade, he slots in at 13, which is actually 2 spots down from his place in Boston. But obviously that's because you got Bush and this year's second-round pick, Caleb Boehmer. Boehmer. They're ahead of him. So I wouldn't worry too much about Mydroth, going from the 11th best prospect in Boston's system to the 13th best prospect, because he's going to graduate from prospect status. He should be the opening day second baseman with his ability to get on base. Wickelman Gonzalez, the other piece in the Crochet trade, he keeps his number 14 prospect ranking like he did in Boston. And to show you how the Crochet trade basically and the 2024 draft infused some talent, last year's first round pick Jacob Gonzalez, and next season's likely DH / play in the outfield and wherever else you can play him to give runway, Brian Ramos, they were in the top 10 for most of 2024 until the draft came, and now obviously until this trade came, because they're down to 15 and 16. I wouldn't worry too much about Ramos. We've seen flashes that he can hit at the big league level. You just obviously want him to do it consistently. And I also, again, I like the the body profile he has. He's got that profile that, the athleticism too, that looks like he should be able to rake. Let's hope he can do it. Gonzalez, I would be concerned, as everydayers have heard me say in the past. He's trending toward bust / Danny Mendick. Yeah. But really, in a lot of ways, guys just got knocked down a few pegs with this trade. Jarrell Perez, the one potential saving grace in the botched Eric Fetty, Michael Kopech deal, he's now at 17. The guy with the broken leg, the Sox got in that deal too, Alexander Albertus, he's 18. William Bergola, who the Sox got in the Tanner Bakes deal, he's now at 19. Samuel Zavala went from a top 10 prospect for the Sox to number 20 with how miserable his low A season. Check out what Chris Clegg had to say about him on Friday's episode. From Diamond Prospects, or from Diamond Dynasty, had him on. Great episode. I recommend everybody check it out. Other highlights to point out: pitcher Nick Nastrini, who got some big league starts. He's at number 21. Sean Burke, who I think should be in the starting rotation in 2025, he is number 30. I have a feeling, though, he might start the season at AAA to get some early innings, because the Sox, with those off days built in, they probably don't need a consistent, fifth starter until probably later in April. Juan Kerla, he could be a dark horse prospect to get a bullpen spot. Is number 29. I did see him a few times when I would turn on Barron's games. Really liked his stuff. And another prospect that we may be seeing, 2025, obviously, or he at least could help with the team in 2026 and beyond, is Wilfred Veras. He's at number 28. He's got rated the best pure power. There's a lot of fear that he could have been taken in the Rule 5 draft. He wasn't. I could see him being a future, at least bench player with his power bat off the bench. Rounding out the rest of it are players that were just mostly drafted recently. Third round picks. Pitcher Blake Larson is number 22. 2023 draft picks Tyler Schweitzer and Seth Keener. They're 23 and 24. And then a throw-in player and a minor trade pitcher, Aldrin Batista. He's number 25. And this year's pick, outfielder Nick McLean and Casey Soki, I think it is, are 26 and 27. But you're starting to see maybe some daylight peek through with these guys. I still think you need at least 2 or 3 more drafts, and hopefully with an emphasis on more high ceiling guys and less emphasis on high floor to really part these dark clouds. But you're starting to see the outlines. You're starting to see the outlines of, hey, there could be a competitive team. Granted, we're going to have to be very, very patient. And for those that are still burned by the last rebuild, because a lot of those players in the last rebuild, they were top 10 prospects, top 100 prospects overall. They were players acquired in trades. That's why I would like to see, more infusion of talent from draft and development too. And those that are also like, well, the guy that's now the GM that was in charge of the player development in the last rebuild, when they really couldn't develop anybody that they drafted, think about it. Gavin Sheets is probably the most productive guy, and Andrew Vaughn. What makes you think they're going to be able to draft these guys? At least the guy, maybe Getz is more of an administration guy. Maybe he's more of a guy that can hire people to do the work that he was not capable of doing, because they have done some decent stuff, obviously, with their player development. I know there's going to be cynics out there, and the cynicism is well earned. But I do see a ray of hope with Brian Bannister and Ryan Fuller and the solid coaches the Sox have in their minor league system to actually maybe develop these guys. But I still think you're going to probably need a few more drafts to really feel like, okay, the clouds are surely parting. We're going to get through this, terrible era right now. Well, did you know you could have a Paul Konerko season and it not being hitting like, say, 300 and crushing home runs? I'll discuss that after the break. Saw Michael Jordan drop 55 at the old Chicago Stadium. Saw LeBron James drop double nickels 2 live and in person. Watched Devin Hester take a punt to the house, and it was amazing. Seeing a game live and in person is always a way to go, especially if you want to see legends play. The best place to get the best deal on tickets is using the Game Time app. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live event even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And I monitor the Game Time app for every Marquette basketball home game in case I can convince my wife to go, since I had to give up my season tickets to my alma mater years ago. They've had prices for as low as $1 to some games. Plus, you can get a panoramic view of the seat in the app before you buy, along with the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today, because what time is it? Game time. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. Again, shout out to all the everydayers. I appreciate your loyalty. Please hit the like button on today's episode, and I hope you had a great weekend. Recommend to your fellow Sox fan friends or baseball fans friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox, or wherever they get their podcasts, as this show is available on all major podcast platforms. So Fangraphs has found a new way to honor Paul Konerko, and I think it is an honor. How they framed it, somebody might perceive it as a knock on him, but I don't look at it that way. In fact, it's an interesting way of looking at, the Southside legend. And I do wonder if Konerko will make the Hall of Fame, sort of like Dick Allen did, on the Veterans Committee vote. Although Allen had a Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and a career 58.7 B-WAR. Paulie's career B-WAR is 28.1. So I doubt Konerko gets into the Hall of Fame despite 439 career dingers and 6 All-Star appearances. But Fangraphs' Leo Morgenstern found an amazing stat about Paulie that he has applied to other players who have recently done the same. And that is, Konerko has the most seasons of only stealing 1 base than any other big leaguer ever. And why is that interesting? Here's what Morgenstern wrote. I find it fascinating to imagine the mental process that would lead a major league player to steal just once in a 162-game season. What changed in that one moment to convince him to attempt something he hadn't attempted before? And if he thought he was fast enough to try to steal once, what stopped him from trying again? Of course, there are going to be times when psychology has nothing to do with it. Sometimes the stars align and perfectly to create an ideal stolen base opportunity for even the Yasmani Grandals of the game. But that's pretty interesting too. Whether the motivation is intrinsic or extrinsic, it's fun to think about how people came to decisions they so rarely make. And he found 7 players this year that had a Konerko season. And I actually think it plays to just how smart Paulie was as a player. He knew he was one of the slowest guys out there, so he wasn't going to run himself into an out. And that's the other reason why I find it interesting. Remember when there was a time when the Sox had smart baseball players? Remember that? Also they knew how to run the bases and they gave effort. Remember those? Here's what Morgan Stern wrote about Konerko. While Konerko retired the year before StatCast began measuring sprint speed, he was widely recognized as one of the slowest runners in the game. Still, he made an effort to steal at least once, and never more than twice, in 11 of his 18 major league seasons. He retired with 9 stolen bases in 13 attempts. So I hereby dub a qualified season in which a player only attempts 1 stolen base a Konerko. Congratulations to all who accomplished the feat in 2024. May you all continue to run once a year. Like I said, I think Paulie should take that as a compliment because it shows, again, he was smart enough to know if he got on first, didn't make sense for him to try to get the second because Jermaine Dye or Joe Creedy or Jim Tomei or AJ Przinsky, they're going to probably crush the ball to get him there and maybe to third or home if they really crush the ball far. Anyways, Paulie, smart player. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And I'll be back tomorrow to discuss the 2025 season. Might actually threaten to break the 2024 120-loss record, along with those who the Sox can certainly go with to round out their starting rotation. I know I was going to talk about the projected batting order today. I decided to push it to tomorrow because I think it fits into, there's a real possibility the Sox can actually lose more than 121 games next season. I don't want to go through that again, but no, we're going to talk about it. Anyways, feel free to leave comments about today's episode regarding the Ishibas, Matt and Justin. Geez, why do people have to have such hard names to pronounce? Anyways, Matt and Justin being the ideal next owners for the Sox, but since the team is not for sale, they might buy the Twins. The updated Sox top 30 prospect rankings and having a Konerko season. You can leave them at the episode page on YouTube, X formerly Twitter at Todd J. Dubber at Locked On Sox, or you can email me at LockedOnWhiteSox@gmail.com. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.